We begin today the Gemara on Daf Ches Samud Beis, the last line. The Gemara is discussing the Machlokes in the Mishnah regarding a Moitzi Shemra, which is a person that accuses his wife of being mizana after Eirison, after the first stage of marriage. And in such a case, what he's trying to do by this is, he wants to exempt himself of paying her the ksuba money. If he brings Eidim that she did what she did, then actually she'll be chayiv misa. Okay, so in the Mishnah, it said that Rab Meir says that the judgment of this matter is with 3. Chachamim say that the judgment of this matter has to be with 23. Okay, so the Gemara here brings many different shatim, 8 in total, what the machlokes of Rab Meir and the Chachamim is. Is it considered to be a money matter, or is it a case of dinin nefashis, a matter of life and death, because we have witnesses that she was mizana, and therefore in such a case it needs 23. Okay, so the Gemara before brought a number of pshatim. I don't remember which number we're holding by, but the Gemara continues with another pshat in this Mishnah. Number 5? Okay, very good. Rav Ashi Omar. So Rav Ashi says another pshat on this machlokes. The case here is Kagoin, the Asru Ba, or the Asru, that's Gersi here, the Asru Ba Malchus, the witnesses that warned her about what she did, only for Malchus, that she will get lashes, V'le Asru Ba Ketala, and they did not warn her that she's chayiv misa. Now, the chiyuv over here is misa. That's what it says in the Torah. Naira Maras is chayiv skila. However, it's also a lav. Every time there's a chiyuv misa, there's a lav as well. And if they warn her from misa, then she gets misa. But if they warn her only from Malchus, so then she'll only get Malchus. And this, according to the pshat the Gemara is saying here now, that means that our Mishnah follows the opinion that says that a lav that's nitin la'azharas mises bezdin, meaning a lav that the Torah warns that if you over this lav, you'll be chayiv misa, but you can still get malchus on it as well if you're not going to be getting the misa, like in this case, because you weren't warned about the misa, you were just warned about the malchus, then you would get malchus. That's the case of our Mishnah. So this is a din Torah about whether this woman would be chayiv malchus or not. So now what's the argument if you need 3 judges or 23? The argument is the same argument as Rabbi Shmuel and the Rabbanan that comes later here in this Mishnah, the first Mishnah in the Pedic. The Mishnah later says, Makais b'shloisha, that Malchus, you have to have 3 judges, and b'shum Rabbi Shmuel amru, but in the name of Rabbi Shmuel it was said, be'esrim b'shloisha, that you have to have 23 judges even for Malchus. So it's the same argument over here in this case regarding this Moitzi Shemra. According to this pshat, even though the Mishnah uses the term nefashis, what does it say in the Mishnah? When it explains Chachamim's opinion, the Mishnah says, Chachamim oimrim, for Moitzi Shemra you need 23, mipnei sheyesh by dinei nefashis. That's what it said in the Mishnah. According to this pshat of Rav Ashi, even though the Mishnah said dinei nefashis, it seems like the Mishnah is saying that giving a person malchus is also considered to be a matter of dinei nefashis. Not only a matter of life and death is dinei nefashis, but even giving lashes is also called dinei nefashis, and therefore you need to have 23. Another pshat, the 6th pshat in the Mishnah. Ravina says,
he may die because of
I don't know if that's the case. That's the reason. Just mitzad the malchus itself. Giving a yid malchus is called dinei nefashis, according to Chachamim. The Gemara on Daf Yud later will explain the machlokes regarding malchus, whether you need 23 or 3. Ravina says, Kagoyin shenimtza achad mehen mina edim, that is karav apostle. The case over here in our Mishnah is that the husband is bringing edim that his wife was mizana after she was already arusa and she would be chayiv misa. But one of the edim that were brought were found to be karav apostle. And the question is, he brought more than just 2 edim. And let's say he brought 3 edim. And out of those 3 edim, one of them was found to be apostle. Now the question is, could you still use the other 2 edim to give her misa or not? And therefore, it's going to be a case of misa and you need 23, or no? Since one of them is found apostle, you can't use this entire group of edim anymore, and so it's not a case of misa anymore. The Gemara goes through the details here, explaining what the basis of this machlokes is. The kamiflagi beplukte the Rabbi Yosi v'Rebbe. They're arguing the same argument that Rabbi Yosi and Rebbe argued al libe de Rabbi Akiva, according to the way Rabbi Akiva darshan the pasuk. We learned in the Mishnah, this is in Masechta Makis, that Rabbi Akiva says. Now what Rabbi Akiva is addressing is the lashon of the pasuk by Edim. It says al pishnayim Edim, or al pishlosh Edim, yakum davar. So the question is, if it says 2, why is it necessary to say 3? So Rabbi Akiva explains, leiba shlishi el lahachmir olav. When the Torah writes 2 Edim or 3 Edim, it's writing 3 for a stringency that we learn from this. What is the stringency? 2 different points. One is, Lasa is dinoi kayetzebay. Kayetzebay, that is. That the din of the third will be like the din of the first 2. And that is by regarding Edom Zaymimin. If you had a second group of Edom that was Mazim, the first group of Edom, right? So whatever the first group of Edom wanted to do, they get punished with. So what the Torah is saying is that not only the 2 get punished, but the third that joined along with them in this Edus, in this false testimony, the third Ed also gets punished together with them. That's what the Torah is saying. The Einish of Kashazama applies not only to the 2, but to the third one as well. And then Rabbi Kiva adds, Im kain onesh hakosav es hanitfa loiva aveireh. If this is how the Torah punishes a third individual that came and joined others that are being over and aveireh, alachas kama v'kama, most definitely ke over aveireh. Sorry, like the ones that are over the aveireh, alachas kama v'kama sheishalem schar es hanitfa loisa mitzvah kaisa mitzvah. Definitely, if you join, even though you're only secondary, but you're coming and joining others that are doing the mitzvah, definitely the Eibush will give you schar like those that are doing the mitzvah. So Rashi here brings what it says, that we know that midah teva, the Eibishter's conduct with us in the positive is much more than midah purani, is much more in punishment. So therefore, for sure, you'll get schar for this. That's one thing that's learned from this pasuk. Yeah.
He's not a nitful.
He is.
He's also.
No.
He's not a nitful.
The third person, he's not needed b'chlal for the edus. Yeah, the 2 people that already said the edus, so they're done already the edus. How does the edus work? Yeah,
They don't come all 3 together.
No. When the edus is said, one says the edus, then the second one says the edus, and then the third one says it. They can't speak at the same time. So one said the edus, the second said the edus, and then the third one says the edus. The third is not even needed to say the edus anymore. We already heard it from 2 of them. The third one came and says, I also know this, and he also says this, but we don't even need him anymore, B'chlal.
I don't need you.
Well, it could be, but maybe if the other 2, if there'll be a problem with what they said, so then you can use the third. But right now, the 2 spoke, you can be mechayev the person Misa just based on these 2. What do you need the third person for? He decided he wants to join them, right? So that's why it's called a nitva. Same thing also.
Always like this? Can we come 3 together?
They come together, but they don't speak at the same time. They can't speak at that. 1, 2, and 3, they can't speak at the same time. Then you have chakiris, subedikis, that they're going to interrogate each one of the Edom separately, right? So therefore, it's called a nitfal. The same thing also benegay to a mitzvah. You have 2 people that are doing a mitzvah. They don't really need a third person to help them out. But he comes and he's joining along. He'll also get schar, just like those people that are doing the mitzvah themselves. Further, another drasha, and this is the drasha that will be more relevant here for what we're speaking about in our Gemara. Uma shnayim, just like when you have 2 edim, nimtza echad mehem karav pasle dusam betela. If one of them is found to be either a relative or a person that's puzzle, so then the whole edus falls apart. The whole edus is bottled. Right? So it's the same thing we say. Av shloisha, even if you have edus of 3 or even more, nimtza echad mehem karav pasel. If one of the group of edim is found to be a relative or puzzle, edusam betela. The entire edus is bottled. That's why the Torah is saying shnayim or shloisha, to compare that the halacha of psul applies even by 3. How do you know it's even more than 3? Even if you have 100 edim and one out of the group of 100 is found to be puzzle, the whole edus is puzzle. Talmud loymar edim. The Torah says, Apishnayim edim, or shloisha edim. The word edim, not only the word shloisha is extra, but the word edim is extra. So I know that even if there's 100 edim, one is found puzzle, they're all going to be puzzle. That's the drasha that Rabbi Kiva said. Now, on this second drasha, Rabbi Yosi comes and says, when do we say that if one is found puzzle, they're all puzzle? When it comes to eidos that are testifying about a matter of life and death. Here, because the Torah says, when there's Edom testifying about someone to give him a punishment of death, Bezdin has to do whatever they can to save him from this punishment. Therefore, here I say that we're going to be mevatel the whole entire Edus and this person won't get killed. When it comes to money matters, to skayim Edus b'shar, then you leave the Edus in effect with the other Edom that are still kosher. So if it's 3 or it's more than 3, so then whoever is possible, but the rest that are still kosher can be used still for the Edus. Rabbi says there's no difference. Whether it's money matters, whether it's matters of nefashos, life and death, it's the same halacha. If one of them is found to be puzzle, the entire Edus falls apart. Now, Rebbe adds another detail that he argues on Rabbi Yossi, and this is the main thing the Gemara is going to focus on. The aim is, when do I say, even by Dina Nefashis, when one is found puzzle in the group, that the whole group becomes puzzle? When is he considered to be part of the group? Bisman shehisru behen. Only if the karev or the puzzle was part of the group when he saw, when he witnessed, and he also warned the person that don't do this. Meaning, the point here is, it's not so much about the hasra itself, it's more about the fact that we have to know that the person that's part of this group, at the time when he witnessed, he actually had the kavana, the das, to be part of the group. You could be somewhere and see something that's going on, but you're just seeing it in passing. You're not interested in being part of the group of Edom to testify about this. You're not having kavana to be part of the Edus. When you're there and you're giving asra to the person that's doing what he's doing, so then that asra reveals your intent that you want to be part of the group of the Edus. So only if you gave asra, then you're part of the group, and I'll say that it'll all be bottle if you're found to be a relative or puzzle. But if you did not give that warning, then we say that you're not part of the group at all. And Rabbi brings a raya to this, and Rabbi says, "Ma yasu shnei achim ve'echad shero bechad sharagas hanefesh." What would we do in a case if you have two brothers and one more person that are standing together, and they witness someone that's killing someone, and they want to be Eidim to testify about him, to give him a chiyuv misa? So now, because there's brothers that are standing there, so they won't be able to be Eidim anymore because of his brothers. So he's a relative. Elamai, in such a case, the brother that's there, he doesn't have any kavanah to join the Eidos. So therefore you have two that are the Eidos, and the other brother, he's not part of the Eidos, and therefore they could testify and give this person a chiyuv misa. That's what Rabbi says. However, Rabbi Yossi, though, disagrees with this, even though it doesn't say clearly in the Mishnah that Rabbi Yossi disagrees with this, but the Gemara here understands that Rabbi Yossi holds that this halacha, that if you have a Karav or apostle that's part of the Eidos, will passel the whole group. It's even if the Karav apostle was standing there, didn't give any warning, we don't have any revelation of his intent that he wanted to be part of the Eidos, he's still going to passel the entire Eidos.
If they came to Bezdin.
What? No, so that's actually another point that you're bringing up. It's a machlekes rishonim. According to Rashi, it doesn't even matter if that Karav apostle came to Bezdin. As long as he was there and he gave asra, so he joined in the witnessing of the Eidos. Even if he didn't come to actually testify, it'll also passel the group. According to Taisvis, when it says here in the Gemara that the Karav apostle will passel the group, it's only if he actually came to testify in Bezdin. That's what Taisvis holds. And from the continuation of the Gemara, it's actually mashma like Rashi, because the Gemara here says, Ma yasu, what should you do if you have two brothers and a third person, and now you can't be Eidos because there's a Karav apostle there? According to Rashi, the question that Rebbe is asking makes a lot of sense, because just the fact that he's there is a problem. He's joining the group. But according to Taisvis, what do you mean, what do you do? Just make sure that the brother doesn't come to Bezdin. As long as the Karav doesn't come to Bezdin, it won't be an issue. So Taisvis says, according to his pshat, that when the Gemara says ma yasu, the Gemara doesn't really mean to say that there's no eitzah, that there's nothing we can do about this. What the Gemara means to say is, in such a case where a brother was there, what will many times happen is the brother won't realize and will end up coming to Bezdin and will cause problems. And therefore Rebbe says that's enough of a reason for us to say that the brother does not cause problems unless he had a clear intention to join the group of Eidim in the beginning. Those are the two pshatim I learned this Gemara, Rashi and Taisvis. But the point that the Gemara is saying over here is that we see here a machlekes between Rebbe and Rabbi Yossi in a case where you have a Karav apostle that's part of the Eidos, and he did not give a warning. Does he passel the whole Eidos or not? According to Rebbe, he doesn't, and according to Rabbi Yossi, he does. So Rabbi Meir in our Mishnah holds like Rabbi Yossi, that in such a case, even without him giving a warning, he passels the Eidos. And therefore, the case in our Mishnah was by Moitzi Shemra, that there was Eidos, but there was a relative. There was no warning, but he still passels the Eidos. Therefore, Reb Meir says it's enough to have 3 for the judges because there's no money matter. There's no matter of life and death over here because you can't give misa. It's just a money matter. You just want to. The husband is going to pater himself of paying the ksubah. Mashenk and the Chachamim hold like Rebbe that this is a edus of life and death because the Karav apostle is not passeling the edus if he didn't give any warning. So therefore, you have to have 23 judges. Another pshat. This is all pshatim that Ravina is saying. So another pshat Ravina says, Kagayin shehisru ba achedim. The case in our Mishnah is that you have Eidim, but the Eidim themselves did not give the warning. Others that were present gave the warning to the person that, or to the woman that did the Aveda. V'le hisru ba Eidim. The Eidim themselves did not warn. The kamiflagi beplukte the Rabbi Yossi v'Rabbanan. And Rab Meir and the Chachamim and the Mishnah again argue the same two Tanaim. Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbanan also argued about this point. Do the Eidim themselves have to give the warning, or even someone else could give the warning? The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, also Makis, Rabbi Yossi says, you don't give a person Misa based on what Eidim say, unless they themselves are the one that warned him. Shenema, as the Pasuk says, Al Pishnayim Eidim, that it has to be from the mouth of the Eidim. Not only what they testify, but also the warning has to come from their mouth. So in our case, the Mishnah, there was others that gave the warning, and therefore this is the machlokes of Rab Meir and the Chachamim, whether this will be an Eidus for Nefashis or not. Rab Meir says it's not an Eidus for Nefashis, they didn't give the warning. Chachamim say it's still an Eidus for Nefashis, so you need 23. A third Pshat Ravina says, Kagain, the case over here is, you have two Eidim, that this woman was Mezana, but the Iskachish Bebedikis, that now what happens with Eidim is, there's an interrogation process. You take each Eid separately in a room and you interrogate him to see if what he says matches what the other Eid says. Right? So now there's two things. There's what's called Bedikis and Chakiris. The difference between them is, Bedikis is examinations. And those are examining side details. For example, you ask him, what color clothing was the person wearing? Or other kinds of details like that. Then there's what's called Chakiris. Chakiris is not just examining details, it's interrogations. You're asking about basic facts. What was the time? Who, basic facts of what you saw. Where was it? The time and place and so on. So now, there's a machlokes here. Obviously, in a case where the two Eidim that are testifying are saying something different in the basic facts about the interrogation, the chakiris, then the Eidus is bottle. But if they don't match in the bedikis, in certain small details, here is a machlokes whether we are mevatel Eidus or not, because it's possible to say that the Eid doesn't pay attention to such details, and that's why you can make a mistake about this. So that's the case here. The Eidus, so regarding the examination of the details, that's where the two Eidus did not match. But regarding the basic facts of the investigation or the interrogation, their words match. The kamiflagi, the argument here between Rab Meir and the Chachamim, whether this will still be an Eidus accepted to give her Misa, and therefore it will be a matter of life and death, it's a machlokes beplukted the Ben Zakkai v'Rabbanan, the machlokes of Ben Zakkai, which is Rab Yechanan Ben Zakkai and the Rabbanan. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Maisa, there was a case where Ubadak Ben Zakkai bu'uktzei tainim, when there was testimony about someone that would be chayiv Misa, and Rab Yechanan Ben Zakkai examined the Eidos asking about the place where they were. They said that they were under a palm tree. So he asked, the uktzei te'enim, the stems of the figs, were they thick, were they thin? He asked mamish very little trivial details in order to see if the words of the Eidim will match. And according to Rabbi Yechanan Ben Zakkai, if it doesn't, then the Eidus is bottle. But the Chachamim disagree. Chachamim say that in such details you can't be mevatel the entire Eidus. This is the final pshat in the Mishnah. So in all, we had here 8 pshatim in the Mishnah. What the machlokes of Rab Meir and the Chachamim is, whether you need a bezdin of 3 or 23, is it an issue of money or is it an issue of din and nefashis, life or death? Okay, now the Gemara starts with another subject that is related to Moitzi Shemra. Right? The Mishnah, we're speaking here about a case where a person is accusing his wife of being mezana after the Eidusin. So Amar Rav Yosef says about this, Hevi abal Eidim shazinsa, if the husband brings witnesses that his wife was mezana, now and then, Vehevi ha'av Eidim, the father brings Eidim, vehizimum, and they were mazem, they said, Imanu Yisum b'makom pleni, you can't testify about this, you were with us in a different place at that time, and therefore they become Eidim Zaymimin. What's the halach of Eidim Zaymimin? The Eidim Zaymimin, Asisim loy kasha zamam, that they get the punishment that they intended to bring on someone else. So vizimum leidi abal, they not Eidi abal or Eidim Zaymimin. So what happens? Eidi abal nerogin. So these Eidim, they were looking to be mechayev the isha, misa, skila. So now that punishment goes on them, that they are going to be killed. Now there's something else that they wanted to cause as well. They wanted to cause her also to lose the payment of her ksuba money from her husband. So do we punish them with this as well? That now the Eidim have to pay this as well? But they don't pay money, and this is based on the famous klal, when you give the punishment of misa, you don't give the punishment of money at the same time. We just learned that from the pasuk, as Rashi brings it, the Gemara in Ksubis goes through this barichis, that you don't give these two punishments. Chazar vehevi habal edim vehizimum. If the husband then went and brought edim Ve'zimum le'edei ha'av, and he was mazim the second group of Eidim that were now we have now a third group of Eidim that comes and proves that the second group of Eidim, the Eidim of the father, were lying. So what happens now? So Eidei Ha'av, now the Eidus of that the father brought, Ner Rogin, they're going to be Chayiv Misa, because they were testifying in order to be Mechayiv the first group of Eidim Misa. So therefore, that punishment now goes on them. They're going to be Chayiv Misa. And also, Umishalmin Mammon, and also they're going to pay money for what they wanted to do. What's the money that they have to pay here? Because in this case, what they were trying to do is, they were trying to cause the husband to pay a knas of 100 kesef. When a husband falsely accuses his wife of being mizana, he has to pay 100 kesef. By the father bringing his edim and being mazim the edim of the husband, so then they wanted to cause that the father should have to pay, the husband should have to pay that knas to the father. So in this case, you will give both punishments of misa and mamain to the father's edim that were now found to be false. And the Gemara explains, why don't we apply the concept of kamle with the rabbi minei? The reason is because it's mamain lezeh or nefashis lezeh. Because in this case, the money that these Eidim wanted to make pay is that the husband should pay money to the father. The Chiyuv Misa is that they wanted to give the Chiyuv Misa to the Isha. So it's a different Chiyuv Misa. Again, v'zimum le'edei ha'av. Yeah, so edei ha'av nerogin. Sorry, the edei ha'av wanted to give the chiyuv misa to the Eidim Zaymimin, that is, to the first group of Eidim Zaymimin. Right. So when do you say kam lebed Rabba minei? If the two punishments here, and there's a greater punishment, Rabba minei, it's all to the same person. But if the two punishments, the Misa and the Mammon, are to two different people, they're not. One is to the first group of Eidim, and the other is to the husband that had to pay to the father. Over there, you don't say Kam lebed Rabba minei. Rashi also addresses regarding the previous case when it spoke about the Eidei. Again, the first case here. Again, going back to what Rav Yosef said in the beginning, when you have the Eidim of the husband and then the Eidim of the father come and are mazim the Eidim of the husband. So over there, the Eidim of the Baal are only going to be Chayiv Misa and are not going to be Chayiv Mammon. So there's two things that Rashi addresses regarding the Chayiv Mammon there. Number one, Rashi says, what was the Chayiv Mammon that we were speaking about? The Chayiv Mammon of the loss of the Ksubah, that they wanted to make the wife lose the Ksubah. It's not really the full loss of the Ksubah that the Gemara is discussing, because at this point, we don't know if she would even ever get the ksubah. You can't say that these Eidim wanted to make her lose the ksubah. How do you know she would ever get divorced, that she's losing her ksubah? So it's just what's called the toivus hana of the ksubah, that she can sell the value of the ksubah to someone else at this point if she would collect the ksubah. Another thing Rashi addresses is that in that case, you can't say that the first group of Eidim that testified on behalf of the husband was causing the father of the girl to lose the money of the false accusation of the husband. Why? Because they're saying that what the husband is saying is true, and really it's not true. So they're really causing the husband to not have to pay money for his false accusation. So Rashi says that's not the case, because in such a case, now that the father's Eidim is mazim, the Eidim of the husband, the husband actually pays the father that money. He pays that money for false accusation, and the Eidim don't have to pay that. There's no kasha zaman for that.
When you have the second set of Eidim for the Eidei Zamamim for the husband, that would also be the Din Misa for the lady.
Correct. Yeah. True. Yeah, that's what it comes out. Yeah. Okay. Should we learn one more piece over here?
Yes.
Okay. Let's finish off the Indian over here. That's actually a new Indian. That's the thing. Okay. One more piece. Amar Rav Yosef. Another halacha Rav Yosef said, Plaini Ravai la'ainsei. What's if you come and you're saying Eidus and Bezdin that so and so Ravai, which is Mishkav Zachar, I think in English it's called sodomized him, and he says it was by force, it was against your will. So now you're saying Eidus that someone did this to you, and now so what's the case? Could you be an Eid on this matter? Hu va'acher mitztarfun lahargai. Yes, you yourself, together with another Eid, can combine to be two Eidim to give this person a Chiyuv Misa. The halacha by Mishkav Zachar is that the person is Chayiv Skila. Now, however, if you came and said that what happened here was L'Ritzaynai, I joined willingly. So now you're really saying Eidus about another person, but you're always also saying Eidus on yourself, that you're a Rasha. So in such a case, a Rasha who, according to the Eidus that you're saying, you're a Rasha. That Torah, the Torah says, Al Tashas Rasha Eid, that a Rasha cannot be an Eid. So if you can't be an Eid, you can't combine with another person now to be Mechayev, the other person's Skila as well. Because you just testified that you yourself were involved L'Ritzaynai, so you're a Rasha.
So what kind of Edis?
Again?
If you're just saying that, what kind of Edis he wants from the other person?
So he's saying about himself that he did the Isser, but the other person did the Isser as well. They both did it Lidat Sinai. So the question is, could your Edis be Mechayev the other person Misa? So Rav Yosef says, because you now said that you're a Rasha, so you can't be an Eid, so you can't be Mechayev the other person Misa either. Rav, however, Rav disagrees with this. And Rav says, Adam Karoi Veitzalatzmai. A person is the closest relative to himself. A person cannot make himself a Rasha. So if you can't make yourself a Rasha, what that means is, we're not accepting the Eidus that you said regarding yourself that you are a Rasha. That part of your Eidus is like we didn't hear it at all. It doesn't exist. You can't make yourself a Rasha. But the other part of the Eidus that you said about what the other person did, that he did at Lidat Sinai, that part of the Eidus is accepted. Rav Yosef was arguing, because you're a Rasha, so no part of your Eidus is accepted. Comes Rav and says, how do we know you're a Rasha? Because you said so? If you say that you're a Rasha, that's not believed. You can't say about yourself that you're a Rasha. A person is not believed to say this on himself. So therefore, we don't have any source to say that you're a Rasha. So therefore, the other part of the Eidus that you're saying about him is accepted and is going to be Chayiv Misa. This is what's known as Palginan Dibura. We split the Eidus in half. One half we accept and the other half we don't accept. So apparently Rav Yosef holds Memanav Shach. You can't split the Eidus. If you're accepting the Eidus regarding someone else, so then you have to accept the Eidus regarding yourself, and therefore you're a Rasha. If you're not accepting the Eidus, so then you don't accept it at all. Another case is similar to this. The Gemara says, Amar Rava said, Ploini ba al ishti, that is, if you come and testify and say that so-and-so had a relation, was mizana with my wife, which is an Eishisish, meaning that you're coming to say Eidus about that person that is Chayiv Misa. So again, the halach in such a case will be, according to Rava, hu v'acher, you and another aid, mitzdarfin, can combine together, laharga, to be mechayev this person misa. Avaloi laharga, but your eidus, you cannot combine with someone else to give misa to your own wife, just like a person cannot say this on himself. The wife, he also can't say this about his own wife. Ishtei kegufa, so he also can't say this on his wife. So here as well, we split the eidus regarding his own wife. What he said, we don't hear Bechlal. It's like it's we don't accept his Eidus regarding that, but what he said about someone else, what Pliny did to his wife, for that we do accept that and we'll be able to give her Misa. So the Gemara says, basically Rav is repeating the same halacha that he just said before. So the Gemara asks, my kamashmala, what was Rav trying to say with this? The Mafagina, the Dibura, that we split his words of the Eidus and we accept the part that we can and the other part we don't hear at all. Hainu hach, isn't it the exact same point that it said before? Says the Gemara, it's not exactly the same thing, because Ma'od the Teimeh, I would think to say, Adam Karavet Salatzmai Amrinan, that the point that we said before, that the part of the Eidus that he said on himself, that he's not believed to say it all. So we don't accept that he's a Rasha. So if you don't accept he's a Rasha, we could still accept this Eidus on someone else and give that other person Misa. But Eitzel Ishtoi Lo Yamrina, maybe regarding his wife we don't say that. Maybe regarding his wife we say that once he said Eidus about someone else and he's believed to be Mechayiv someone else Misa, we turned that back on his wife, and now we say that he can be mechayev his wife as well, Misa. That's what I would think to say. Now, exactly the pshat, why I would think to say this, both Rashi and Tosfos say this pshat, many Rishonim disagree, it's hard to understand. If, just like a person is not believed to say anything about himself, he's not believed to say anything about his wife, because she's a korev, she's the closest person to him, she's ishtei kegufay. Why would I think that I wouldn't split it over here? So the way some Achronim explain this is, regarding yourself, it's not only that you're not believed, that Bezdin doesn't accept your Eidus, there is no Eidus at all. It's zero. What you say on yourself is like, you can't speak about yourself at all in a Bezdin. So that part is like Bezdin didn't hear anything, like it didn't exist. So therefore you can say Eidus about someone else and it's very easy to split it. But when one says Eidus about his wife, so yes, she is a Karev, and therefore Bezdin will not accept your Eidus. But we're not going to say that it wasn't Eidus at all. It's just that Bezdin can't accept it. So maybe here there would be a svara to say that once Bezdin is forced to accept your Eidus on the second part of what you said regarding someone else, so now Bezdin is accepting your Eidus. Once they're accepting it, maybe they'll accept it, the whole story, even about your wife as well, and therefore you would be mechayev, the wife Misa as well. Therefore, Kamash Malan, therefore, Rav said that in this case as well, the part that you said about your wife is not accepted, the part that was said about someone else is accepted, and we say Palgin and Dibura in this case as well.